everyone. Welcome to Metaphysical Monday for April 2025. And it is the time when the world is transforming. I love April. This is when my magnolia tree blossoms. Isn't she beautiful? And, Easter has been around this time of year. Either it was at the end of March or it's coming up, depending on what year it is and what 2025 is. I'm not really sure because I still haven't looked it up. I don't really want to talk about that right now. I want to just talk about spring and how we're starting to see our seedlings that we planted grow. Some of us will be transplanting them outside. Some of them are growing enough that we can transplant them inside. It's coming. Those warmer, wonderful days are coming. And nature's just bursting with life. And we start to feel a little rejuvenated too during this time of year, I think. Most of us do. At least I hope I'm going to be. Remember, I'm filming this in January, but I'm, just putting this on. I'm feeling the April. And it's great. Now today, I'm not going to show you any old stones that I used to use or that I do use or whatever. And I never was like a witch, Wiccan, blah, blah, blah. No, never, ever, ever. But I did study the metaphysical, new agey kind of stuff, mostly through Sage Goddess. And I did that because my children were being drawn in because they had friends that were, it was just, it was a thing. And I don't know that it's as much of a thing anymore. I hope people are finding God again like I did. Not that I ever was completely ever away. Even through Sage Goddess, I was there. And I always was praying to Jesus. And I just was trying to understand why the world is changing, how it's changing, what does this mean? What is all this stuff? The stuff that my parents didn't want me to see, my grandparents, blah, blah, blah. And kind of needing to know. I didn't really think I needed to know until then. I just needed to know. So it started with a conference about this time of year that I went to with my daughter-in-law's parents. They were into this kind of thing. Her mother used to run a metaphysical shop, and so I needed to understand what that was. And, they always believed in Jesus and all that kind of stuff. They were Lutherans, a more liberal branch of the Lutheran church than some of my relatives were. And I grew up Methodist, and then I turned Catholic when we were raising our children. And then there's all the controversy in the church, and my husband isn't really keen on the new pope. He's too liberal, and just a lot of things. And my children didn't end up really following that path, although I tried to raise them in a strong religion and that we both all shared it as a family. And I thought that was important, and I think it was. I think they believe in God and so on, but they just don't have that they don't seem to have the same type of connection I did always, but they might have a stronger one. I don't know. I don't know. I hope so. I really do. I do know that my faith has always been like, sometimes I feel like I am alone and isolated and so on. And, I've been watching my Methodist church services every week, and, that really helped because it reminded me how much God was always in my life, and not just through my parents, but through other people in the church, and how important that was to my development as a child. And there were some things that went on with my parents that were screwy now that I look at it, I had this half brother that they kept secret, and I think they knew about him. And, it just changed my whole, it was sad because my mom was still living when I found that out, but she had dementia and couldn't, or at least pretended not to remember, but we think she remembered more than, and, it was my father's business. And so that was a part of it too, I think. So but my father had been dead 22 years, and he died in April of 1997, at the end of April 1997. So I do think about my dad during this time of year. So it's kind of interesting, as I'm filming this about April, I'm talking about him. And anyway, when I found out about my brother, I accepted him. That was not a problem, and I was happy to have a brother. I was upset with my father and my mother. My father because my uncle knew about this boy and so on. I was upset that my father didn't acknowledge him. And more importantly, even if there was some reason that my father didn't tell me about him before he died, and he knew, and I remember times where I kind of knew, but then he shut it aside, and then I thought, well, there must have been a mistake, and I, forgot about it. But now looking back, my father had opportunities to say, at least, there's this boy that I'm not sure is my son or not. Or at least then it would have been a man. And that would have been important. And I think that would have been something that they should have done. But they didn't. And so my brother and I only got to know each other on the phone because COVID hit right after. I learned about him. My brother had challenging health concerns. He died in 2022. So we never met in person, but we did have wonderful conversations and a good relationship on the phone. And there were times that my brother was really there when I needed him after my mom died. And I don't know if he didn't feel uncomfortable about that, but it did help me. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Anyway, so, and that's what metaphysics is to me, is how God touches us in our lives, that unknown. Anyway, so I always like to show you things that I probably will be inspired to wear at this time of year. Or, some of these I might wear in the fall too, because of the colors they're going to be. But for April, I think I'll save this one for last. It's a pretty box, isn't it? And that one was from DJ. That's DJ. This is, and I'm going to just look it up in just a second. I think it's called Precious Sapphire Gems. And it's that orange sapphire. And I'd like to pronounce it, but I think it's, it starts with a P, and I can't think of how, I'm terrible at pronouncing it, so I'm not going to even try. Aren't those pretty? And I also got a pendant to go with this. And these are from Precious Sapphires. And this one, I think, is from a different shop. But isn't that pretty? Which, again, I got a gold chain for my husband. And I'm not sure if I shouldn't put this on it. Well, I'm having a hard time. I might just do this one for that one instead of the one I was going to put a different one, but I think I'm going to use this one since it's gold. It's perfect. And I will let you know. That one's from a different shop. It's kind of funny because they have similar boxes, but it's a different shop. So the one was Precious Sapphire, and then these were from Precious Sapphire, and the pendant is from AS Jewelers, and that's padparadscha. And I'm not pronouncing it right. Padparadscha, something like that. So it looks like sapphire. It's an orange sapphire, fiery sapphire. And I just thought that was going to be good for April, even though padparadscha sapphire would be also September. So, and won't that be fun to wear in September with all those autumn colors? And this one was just beautiful. And this is DJ Distinction Jewelry. And it was, very giftable in how it was wrapped. Didn't you see how pretty that was? I had these 2 ribbons on it. Gorgeous wrapping and presentation. And what I got were clear stone. And these are, hang on, I'm trying to think of what it is. They're like diamonds, but they're not. They're quartz. I'm not sure if they're really actually a quartz, but they're called danburite. That's why they were presented so much. Danburite's usually pretty pricey. These weren't too bad. And it's kind of funny. It says DJ but the shop has another name too when I looked it up, but it says DJ. So I'm just going to go by DJ. And I'll make sure I have everything accurate, but aren't those pretty? And danburite studs, and I'd probably wear one at a time, but I can wear both of them too. So I'll have that energy of danburite. And so I couldn't get diamonds this month. I have diamonds anyway. I wanted something a little different. April diamonds, but so I thought danburite would be kind of cool for April too. So this was my April haul of metaphysical stuff and metaphysical nonsense and stuff. We have one more video to go, one more month of Metaphysical Mondays, but I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm a variety channel and an accidental retiree here. And so if this isn't your jam, there might be something else that I come up with. I do a lot of writing videos. I've done a lot of hauls in the past. I'm not doing that many this year, but never know what will come up with my noodle. I'm kind of scaling back and working on writing right now, so I'm not sure how much I'll have. Like I say, I'm doing this in January. I'm still doing my organization stuff for my writing, and I hope to do some sewing videos too. Not how to so much because there's so many of those, but little putsy things. Anyway, we'll see. Maybe I'll do a little bit of here how to, but I don't know. We'll see. But I have a whole bunch of the process prior to videos, but I want to actually have something that I've worked on before I put those up. So I've been working on that series for over a year. So, I don't know, like I said, I may retire from YouTube at some time in the next couple of years. I don't know, but I'm scaling back. If I do once a month, I'll be happy at some point in time, but I'm trying to do a little bit more than that. But we'll see. Anyway, hopefully maybe if I do that, it'll be better quality. The main thing is I want to work on my writing, and that may be writing for my videos, and it may be writing novels. It'll be my writing. So that's kind of why I'm scaling back. And the Metaphysical Mondays were not that popular. So it was something I had a goal to do, and I was going to try to do as long as people were interested, but I don't think, that's the new age stuff, and there have been so many cults and stuff like that were around it, and people are more aware and a little leery. It's not a great thing to be doing. So I'm just, I have a Pathfinder series that I want to do, and so I'll put spiritualism, but mostly, and woo-woo stories I might put in there, but I also will put my religious beliefs, finding God, searching for God, God in our lives type videos. like I touched on here a little bit, maybe, you know, within the Pathfinder series. And so Metaphysical Mondays are not going to be, but they'll be different and they'll be better and not so holly and stuff like that, and talking about stones and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, unless people want that at some point in time, I can always do that. But there's a lot out there, so I don't know that I will be doing that as much anymore. I have one more video that I will be putting up for May, and then we'll be saying goodbye to Metaphysical Mondays, and I'll put them in a little, you know, probably have a little group of videos at some point in time when I organize my channel. That's another thing that I will have, you know, going this summer or this spring after I finish my physical office cleanup, which is looking pretty good in back of me right now. So the house is getting better. It's not perfect yet. It's got a long way to go. But it's getting better. Anyway, and you know, by the time you see this, you'll see some things too that I did in January. Anyway, I hope you like this video. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up buttons. Subscribe to my channel, Accidental Retiree. I'm Tammy. Bye for now, and God bless.